Hello, Bucknutters. Welcome into what we learned live following a very disappointing 30-24 loss to Michigan from the Buckeyes. I mean, there's just no way to spin this. I wasn't over the top confident coming into this game, but I was confident Ohio State would get the job done, and they did not. And, in a game like this, it's going to come down to small things. I mean, small things, but early on, I'm convinced if Kyle McCord doesn't throw that interception, Buckeyes win this game. If Emeka Egbuka doesn't drop that early pass, who knows? Buckeyes shot themselves in the foot early, got down 14-3, outplayed Michigan from there and still lost. You can't get down like that in a game like this. They still came back when it was 17-all. I'm sure I'm like a lot of you. When they made it 17-all, I was thinking, okay, Buckeyes are going to win this game. When they came back from that 11-point deficit. But they couldn't get it done. I am Dave Biddle. Welcome to What We Learned Live. Following Ohio State's third straight loss to Michigan. And this time there's no excuses. You can't say, well, they were stealing signs. No, you just got beat. You did things you can't do. Kyle McCord. People call him Honda McCord. That's it. I don't like that because that is offensive to Honda. Honda's a good car. I call him Ford McCord. It rhymes. It's like Ford's like a little lower than Honda. You can't offend Honda like that. It's Ford McCord. Got to get a better quarterback. I don't want to hear any excuses. We did this. And no. He's been inconsistent all year against bad defenses. Even the Notre Dame game, which was his claim to fame, that last drive, go back and watch 2 plays before the big throw to Emeka. Should have been an interception to end the game. Notre Dame guy just dropped it. Okay. Michigan guy did not drop it today. Will Johnson, when Kyle McCord hit him right in the breadbasket. It's a great throw to a cornerback from a quarterback. Quarterback to cornerback, hit him. Boom. Marvin's like, what are you doing? People are blaming Marvin. No. I mean, even if Marvin was supposed to do something, the coverage was right on him. What are you doing? We've seen it all year from McCord. This is why in Pro Football Focus, they rate him as, of the quarterbacks that people consider good, they rate him the lowest of any Power 5 quarterback when he has heat on him, when he has pressure. They've got to figure out something. This is why we heard all camp, Devin Brown, Kyle McCord going back and forth. And then you saw Devin Brown. You're like, how is Devin Brown giving Kyle McCord a battle for the job? And some people thought Devin Brown might win. Now you know. All right, let's bring in my guy, Jonah Booker. Man, you and I were both, we weren't 10 out of 10 confident. You and I were both 7 out of 10 confident the Buckeyes were going to get the job done. And J-Book, I thought Ohio State outplayed Michigan for the majority of this game, but Michigan did what they needed to do. Ohio State shot themselves in the foot, and here we are again.
I know it, man. So frustrating, Dave. It is so frustrating. When the margins are that thin, Kyle McCord had to be better. He just had to be better. That first interception to set them up. I mean, at that point in the time of the game, Ohio State's defense, I think they held Michigan to 37 rushing yards. Close to halftime, and that interception right there set them up. I mean, what did I say earlier on social media? Leave it to Parker Fleming and the special teams to have the grand finale for the worst performance of the year. I'm sick of the kickers missing big kicks in big games, Dave. I'm absolutely sick of it. I mean,
what about the punting too, man? Was Jesse Mirko punting left-footed today or something? I don't know.
What's his deal? But I thought both teams fought hard, and I will say this: prayers to Zach Zinter, the Michigan guard. I hope that kid is okay. You never want to see anybody go down with an injury like that. The defense, they were out there and they didn't get a stop in the in the second half. That's the bottom line. You look at their possessions, and Michigan scored them pretty much on every possession besides them taking the knee in the second half. They needed to force Michigan to punt the ball there, get the ball back to the offense, but it just was not good enough when it mattered most.
Yeah, as my guy Mike Loftus on Facebook is pointing out, Ohio State had more third down conversions, and Ohio State had more total yards in the big house and still found a way to lose the game because of those picks and because of special teams. It wasn't just the pick was huge. Emeka's drop was big too, by the way.
Right. I mean, Emeka's drop was big. That was going to be a tough catch. And and the thing is, with that Emeka drop, if McCord throws it earlier, that's a six. That's a touchdown. But because McCord was late on that big bomb to Emeka, the defender got there to break it up. So that was going to be a tough catch regardless. Still hit your hands. That's the name of the game. If it
I
hits
meant
your
the early,
hand,
I'm sorry. I meant the early one. I know it was like the first like series of the game, but that was like a turnover. Buckeyes had third down. They ended up going 3 and out. McCord hit Emeka in the hands. It was a little low, but it was like Emeka would tell
yeah,
you 100 times. If Emeka catches that, it's an easy first down. Ohio State has I don't know, just little stuff like that. But I mean, the interception was the early interception was the
right.
killer. That was the difference in the game in a close
That
game
was
like that.
that was the difference in the game. And there on that last series, there McCord had an opportunity to check it down to Henderson. He also had an opportunity to check it down to Xavier Johnson. There, the thing with Kyle McCord, he's killing the offense with not being able to look off a safety, Dave. He's locked in before they even step the football. His eyes are glued on where he wants to go with the football. It's just not good enough at Ohio State because he's not moving the safeties. The thing that you have from Stroud and Haskins and Fields, and I don't know why McCord, because he's not, even though he's playing for his first year, he's been in the program for 3 years. You have to be able to move the safety off the spot if you want to be able to make those tight throws into the box. McCord just stares them down. He just stares them down one read, and if they're not there, he's gonna try to make it into that window, and a lot of times it's bad business. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And here's the other thing that really frustrates me, Dave. I thought that Sharon Moore was much more aggressive than Ryan Day early on in that first half. I thought Ryan Day should have went for it when he decided to punt it on 4th and 1. When you got down there and you were driving right before halftime, instead of calling your timeout going forward on 4th and 2, you also put it on a situation where you're asking a college kicker to boom it 50 yards on the road. Your special teams have been horrible, horrible all season long. Your kicking game has been kind of dicey at best. Instead of going forward on 4th and 2, you're putting your kicker out there for a 50-plus-yard field goal on the road. I just thought that right there was kind of questionable there, especially when you had a timeout in your back pocket. You had 34 seconds to go. Instead of calling your timeout right there, getting into your best play. Every college team and every offense, they say when we gotta have it moment. This is the play that we're going to run. This is for all the marbles. Instead of calling that timeout and said this is our gotta have it moment to at minimum get the kicker 10 yards closer or going for it all to get a touchdown, they decided to milk the clock all the way down and make the kicker kick it 50 yards. And it's a repeat of Georgia, Dave. He did the same exact thing against Georgia. Instead of getting those extra yards for your kicker, you're asking the college kicker to boom a 50-yarder on the road. I thought that was kind of questionable from Ryan Day right there.
So if you're Ryan Day, obviously Mark Pantoni, and you're involved in this discussion, and you're going into next season, are you just like McCord will be fine? He's just a junior. He's had his good moments, and we're going to roll with Kyle McCord and the other guys. Maybe Devin Brown can push him. We saw in camp. I talked about this in the intro. Now we know why it was. I mean, it wasn't like it was just like, the media is making this out to be a close battle. It's like, no, it was a back and forth battle. Now we know. So you going into next year, Jay Book, if you are the president of this team, so to speak, are we going into the next season with Kyle McCord? And that's the guy, and the other guys are going to push him. Keen Holtz, Aaron Nolan coming in. Or are you hitting the portal?
I will first take a look and see what's out there in the portal because if you can get a veteran who's a war daddy that's played a lot of football and showing that he's been able to play at a high level, I would definitely entertain the idea. I'm not convinced that Kyle McCord can win you a national championship. I'm just not there, Dave. He had the entire season to especially in a friendly offense as Ohio State. You got the best wide receiver in the country. You got a Cade Stover who's going to be up probably for the Mackey Award finalist. You got a Egbuka out by Ben injury. They're still pegging him as a potential first round quarterback, and you're still having to rely on one read. I will say this: if Ryan Day, at minimum, doesn't make this a fair quarterback competition into next year, that's a disservice to this entire football team because the quarterback play is not where it needs to be at a place like Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, and the defense overall played well. Defense, I mean, they were put in a bad position. I mean, my God, they're shutting down Michigan. All of a sudden, Michigan's at the 5-yard line after that interception. Again, that interception was the play of the game, unfortunately. Overall, where are you at with this defense, Ohio State's defense?
They didn't get it done when they needed to, Dave. I mean, if we're being frank, they gave up 30 points. They didn't get a stop in the second half. I thought they did really well shutting down the run. However, Michigan, give them credit, they were able to find a weak link, the mark in the defense. And what was that? That was Tommy and Steele locked up in coverage with their tight ends. That was the mismatch. Michigan couldn't throw the ball outside without J.J. McCarthy with an impromptu scramble to the outside and finding an open wide receiver. He couldn't 1, 2, 3 drop back, find somebody on the outside. Those guys were absolutely locked up. I thought the rush defense was solid, but this is why you're paid $2 million, Dave. If you're Jim Knowles, you're paid to in these critical moments when the lights are the brightest to step up and get the offense off the field and turn the ball back over to your offense to go down there and try to score. I just thought that the defense, when it mattered most, they didn't rise to the occasion like you would hope that they would. I thought they did a very good job, limiting Michigan in the rushing attack. I thought on that Blake Corn run, if you go back and rewind it, still Chambers absolutely flushed himself out of the pocket, which put Sonny Styles 1-on-1 with a guy who's running full steam ahead. Credit to Blake Corn, he was able to make that run. But the weak link during that entire game was Tommy and Steele in pass coverage against the tight ends. Other than that, Michigan had nothing. They had nothing offensively for Ohio State. But this is big boy football. If you're going to give someone credit, you have to look at Jim Knowles and say, "Hey, man, when they needed a stop, your defense did not stop them in the second half."
Yeah, I mean, Tommy, I've been a big Tommy fan. I know he's banged up, but Tommy played awful today. I know he's banged up, so that's a big part of it, but Tommy played awful. By the way, we see you out there, Michigan fans. Hello to all the Michigan fans. Hello.
Get their dub. You
Hats
Michigan
off.
fans, get your dubs,
I
whatever.
mean, like, listen, we got no excuses. You guys won.
Yeah.
Hats
You
off.
they want what was interesting, Dave, too, is Ohio State started out in that game in a 4-3 look. They started out with Cody Simon starting there. And I thought that Tyleek Williams and the defensive line, I thought those guys played extremely well against the run. When they needed it most, third and long, when they gave Michigan the ball back, with up three, I think it was about 6 minutes and some change, 6 minutes and 35 seconds left. That is the time you got to get off the field. You had them third and long, and you couldn't do it. At that point, your offense just scored a touchdown. If Jim Knowles can get them off the field, and the thing that was driving me crazy, Dave, Michigan gets that first down, with six and some change left. Boom, they're milking the clock. They get another first down. Boom, they're milking the clock. It's about 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 3.5 to go. Jim Knowles is still sitting in the base defense. He's not sending the blitz. He's not bringing the safety down in the box there. And at that point, I'm screaming like, Jim Knowles, please just sell out. Just sell out. Get out of your base defense. This is the season on the line, and he's just sitting back there, just comfortable, just having a sip of Gatorade up in the box. And I'm like, please just bring some guys down in the box because everybody in the stadium knows what exactly coming right now.
I'll get you out of here on this. any chance of making the playoff? And if not, I mean, if I'm hearing Orange Bowl if they don't make it, do you care at all about that? And does Ohio State have a chance of backing into the playoff like they did last year?
I don't think so. I don't think they're backing in. There's too many good teams up in this top 10 right now. I will say this, enjoy this game, Michigan fans. This is probably the last really meaningful game that we're going to see because everything's going to completely change. If this was next year, Dave, you're probably looking at a rematch of Ohio State and Michigan in Indianapolis, potentially a third matchup in the 12-team playoff. Like what we see right now with all the marbles on the line, we're probably not going to see that again with the format potentially changing. And it was a great game back and forth. Michigan, they're going to try to come out here, talk their smack, go ahead and talk it, but it wasn't this, oh, Ohio State was soft or Ohio State was this, Ohio State was that. Michigan won in a tight battle at the very end. So give them credit where credit was due. They won their football game, but there's no underlying storyline that they can absolutely try to drum up like in years past to say, oh, Ohio State was soft, Ohio State was this. No, it was a good college football game. And at the end of the day, the quarterback play and the turnovers was the difference. And special teams missed kick and the interception that I would say Denzel Burke, that was an interception that was not called on the field. Those are the difference in the game. There's not an actual storyline, regardless of what Michigan fans are going to try to drum up. No, you won because you had the better quarterback today on the field. Bottom line, J.J. McCarthy made the plays on third down when it needed to be made. And congratulations to Michigan.
And Ryan Day picked Kyle McCord over JJ McCarthy. If you believe all the stories, both wanted to be Buckeyes, and Ryan picked JJ. Michigan fans, enjoy it. You better take care of business in the playoff this year. Don't pull a TCU. Don't do that again because you guys are going to get like hammered by the NCAA. This is your last chance. You better take advantage of it, Blue.
I would say this for Michigan, last chance. You're losing 44 seniors off this roster. You have looming sanctions coming. That's a dark cloud over the program. You have probably one of the hardest schedules in college football next year. There's no divisions. You're probably going to see another top 10 team in the Big Ten championship with a 12-team playoff. Enjoy it, Michigan, because this is probably going to be the last run for a very long time because you're not recruiting at an elite level to load up to make a serious run in the 12-team playoffs unless you absolutely go balls to the wall when it comes to the transfer portal because you just can't replace 44 seniors with that type of attrition on top of the outstanding juniors that you have that make up for the NFL.
They'll lose in the semifinals of the playoffs. I mean, Harbaugh has more suspensions this year than he does bowl wins ever at Michigan. And this is his, like 8th year? All right. Great stuff, J-Buck. I'm going to bring in Bax. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Talk to you later, bud.
All right, bud. Let's bring in Matt Baxendale. All right, champ. Tough one to swallow. I mean, I feel like it came down to I hate to put it on one play, but if Kyle McCord doesn't throw that interception early, I feel like Ohio State wins this game. I mean, they just kept shooting themselves in the foot. That first drive, Emeka's drop, McCord's interception. Geez, I feel like Ohio State overall outplayed them, but you got to give Michigan credit. I mean, they won the game.
I think this is the breaking point for the Kyle McCord experience. We've kind of watched OSU win despite him all year. And, that early pick badly cost them. That interception at the end, he had Trayvon Henderson in the top of the field for an easy 10-yard check down. And he's throwing it, into coverage with 3 guys and getting pressure on him. I mean, at the end of the day, Kyle McCord's not good enough. I don't know how else to put it. A lot of things went wrong in this game that in a very good football game, right? J-Book's right. There's no OSU soft, ha, ha, ha storyline here. The reality is J.J. McCarthy didn't make mistakes. Kyle McCord did. The defense didn't get a full stop in the second half. And that interception that was called a touchdown for Michigan is the difference in the football game. And candidly, they'll show that one for the next 100 years when they talk about this rivalry. It'll be like watching Mike Landry miss field goals and J.T. Barrett get stopped in Michigan fans' eyes and a first down in Ohio State fans' eyes. it's the same thing. I mean, that's an interception. I don't know what they were looking at, but that's the game. But at the end of the day, Kyle McCord threw 2 picks in a game where those are the only 2 turnovers. And once more, he did the thing where he'd alternate NFL level throws with mind-boggling incompetence. And that's what happened. This is his Peter principle. He's failed to his level of maximum success, right? And I had somebody tell me, that we shouldn't be mad at McCord. This is supposed to be the year that Quinn Ewers was the quarterback at Ohio State. If you look at the original recruiting progress, right? Quinn Ewers is the quarterback on this team. Ohio State is undefeated. I don't really have much question about that in my mind. Bottom line, though, is that McCord's not good enough based on the Ryan Day standard of quarterbacking at Ohio State, which is Dwayne Haskins, first rounder, Justin Fields, first rounder, CJ Stroud, first rounder and MVP candidate as a rookie in the NFL. McCord's not that level. And, some people are going to claim that this is Joe Burrow's freshman year or first year at LSU, right? He struggled his first year, then he was amazing his second year. I call BS on that because Kyle McCord's never going to have better receivers than he did this year. And at the end of the day, it's not like it's just Kyle McCord's fault. But at one point in the first half, Ryan Day looked at Kyle McCord as he came off the field and goes, "Kyle, what are you doing?" You can literally see the camera zoomed in on him, and Ryan goes, "Kyle, what are you doing?" He missed at least 2 wide open touchdowns in this game. Bottom line is Kyle McCord's not good enough. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, so where are you at? I asked Jay Book this. Are you well, McCord will get better, and he'll be a senior next year. Devin Brown will be a year older. Keen Holtz, Aaron Nolan coming in. Let's just go with what we got. Or are you let's hit that portal and find a quarterback in the portal?
Who are we going to get out of the portal? I mean,
I don't know. That's what I'm at. I don't know. I mean, you're at least going to look, right?
You have to. I think you absolutely have to. I think Kyle McCord's job should not be safe as far as Kyle McCord should be in the middle of a big QB battle. Keenholt should get a real fair shot at this thing. If Devin Brown might be better, then so be it. And we have to look at OSU next year. Michigan might be a black hole next year with 44 seniors gone and all the NCAA sanctions, but we're losing Marv. We're losing Igbuka. We're losing Stover. We're losing Trey. These guys are all going to the NFL. So is Kyle McCord going to suddenly be the best player on the offense? I don't see that happening. I just don't. And we've watched it all year where the defense has been good enough. They've been good enough all year. There's been an elite D all year. Even though they didn't have the second half we wanted today in terms of getting off the field, they still gave him an opportunity at the end of the game to win it. And the bottom line is, Notre Dame was a game that we got sort of lucky and barely pulled out. And then Penn State, Kyle, if you look at Ryan Day on the sidelines, every time Kyle McCord is doing something where his head's not in it, the look on Ryan Day's face is "Oh my God, what are you doing?" I mean, at the Penn State game at halftime to the OSU radio network, he literally said, "There's wide open guys. The quarterback has to hit the throws." I've never heard that said before at halftime.
So are we done with the because I've said this too. I know you have. I think every Buckeye fan, writer, anything has said, well, until proven otherwise, I'm going to err on the side of trusting Ryan Day's judgment on quarterbacks. He handpicked Kyle McCord over J.J. McCarthy. And again, J.J. McCarthy is not Joe Montana by any means. But he's better than Kyle McCord.
Yep. That was a miss by Ryan Day. And it was a miss that I think he realized and recruited over pretty quickly with Quinn Ewers. And then we lost Quinn Ewers. And now this is I guess we'll play McCord and hope it works out year. I going into next year, if Kyle McCord's the starter, it's going to be like JT Barrett's senior year where a lot of people are ready for somebody else because they don't believe in him. That's what this is looking like to me. And the reality is with McCord is you can see the ability is there, right? You see some of these passes he makes or these NFL level passes. The second and third quarters today, he was largely really good. But, he's never ready at the start of the game. He misses easy short passes way too often. And then he stares down his top option left and right. At the end of the day, if you're Ohio State, I think you have to take a real hard look at the transfer portal because the only thing that's missing from this version of Ohio State this year to win a national championship is a competently good quarterback. Kyle McCord is a mid quarterback. That's what he is, surrounded by elite talent. And, we all smiled and put our best face on it and said, well, Craig Krenzel won a national title. But at the end of the day, the Ohio State that's today, it can do a lot better than Kyle McCord at quarterback, period.
Another thing, Bax, if you're like the defensive coordinator going against Ohio State, like if you're facing Craig Krenzel, you know he's not going to throw the ball that well, but you at least know he's like at least going to occasionally run the ball, maybe more than occasionally. If I'm a defensive coordinator and I know there is zero chance of the opposing quarterback running the ball, I'm salivating. I have no idea, and I'm going to ask him this the next time we get a chance. I've asked him this in so many words before, but Ryan Day's a former quarterback. Like, how are you running an offense where your quarterback is zero threat to run? This means there's no zone read. That's not a real thing. You're either, when you do the fake zone read, that means you're going to hand the ball off or you're going to keep it and throw it. There's no threat of the quarterback to run the ball at all, and that hurts this Ohio State offense.
It hurts them badly. You need to have a quarterback that can run at the end of the day. And look, Kyle McCord doesn't have to, just like we talked with CJ last year, you have to be Braxton Miller running the ball, right? But at the end of the day, you have to have a quarterback that has some mobility in the pocket. That last play, look, Donovan Jackson got put on his butt and McCord got hit, and that's not necessarily on McCord, right? But he hasn't been good enough all year. It's been the obvious thing that everybody's been hoping OSU would fight through and he would get it. But, you know, you throw 2 interceptions in a game, they're the only 2 turnovers, and the first interception goes back for a touchdown, you lose by 6, and the second interception ends the game. So we can talk about lots of things that could have gone differently in this game. It was certainly a really good football game. Look, Michigan's good. This is the best Michigan team they've ever had. 44 seniors is astoundingly large at the end of this whole COVID era. But the reality is the defense has been good enough all year. And if this offense had ever been able to find another gear, you're probably not sitting here with a loss to Michigan. You're probably sitting here smiling and going to the Big Ten championship. And the weak link on the offense is quarterback. That's just the reality.
And Bax, we got a lot of, I'll let you go on this. We're bringing Patrick Murphy in live from Michigan Stadium. Bax, we got a lot of Michigan fans in the chat. Like, what do you want to say to them? Like, I know, they know that they're about ready to get hammered by the NCAA. What do you want to say to our friends in Ann Arbor?
I mean, congrats. You won a game. Good for you guys. I can't claim this one was cheated, even if the last 2 years were. You know, much like in 2013, whenever we wanted Ohio State to go undefeated that year and claim 2 straight natties, life didn't work out the way we wanted it. But the reality is, look at Michigan's future. They're losing 44 seniors. They're losing a bunch of juniors that are going to go pro. Their head coach is going to end up going to the NFL. It's going to be a total train wreck right now for them in the future. And at the end of the day, like, cool, this is sort of the last gasp of the Michigan program for a while. So, you know, Ohio State, we worry about, can we get a quarterback that plays at the first round level that we're used to? But the reality is Ohio State's going to be at this same position for a very long time, competing for playoffs and national championships. And at the end of the day, I don't really think that Michigan's going to be there that much in the future here. This is very much a hinge point to a downward slope for them based on everything that we know. And it sucks for Ohio State. It really does. They had a great year up to this point. And, you know, it sucks for Kyle McCord that we all hoped he'd take that step. But biggest game of his life, you know, he threw 2 picks, and that's the difference in the game. So,
well, as I said earlier, if you're a Michigan fan, you better take care of business this year. It's going to be a long time before you're relevant again.
Hey, well, and they've been clinging to that whole fighting the sanction thing in the midseason the whole way through, because their entire goal is to keep this train going as long as they could to try to get that natty that they're going to have to vacate anyway. But they're trying to hold off as long as they can before they get absolutely smashed by the NCAA for everything that's going on. And so, you know, good luck with Georgia, guys. That's all I got to say. But at the end, the reality is for Michigan, this is your last gasp, and we haven't won a natty since 1948. I guess you do desperate things. Ohio State will be right back here again next year. I can't say the same about Michigan.
Great stuff from Bax. Connor Stallions, if you're in the chat, good to see you, brother. Great stuff, Bax. You be well, brother.
Yeah, you be well too, buddy. Don't jump off any bridges, Bucknutters. We'll be all right.
Yeah, all right. Patrick Murphy, live from Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor. Patrick, biggest takeaway from post-game press conferences?
Well, it was quick. You know, I think we were in and out of there in maybe like 20, 25 minutes. Look, in this situation, the Michigan band is playing. I hope you can hear me okay. You know, they're not going to say much.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Okay, I couldn't hear if you could hear me behind the music that is playing now. They're not going to say a ton. You know, Ryan Day took responsibility, said this is the game you worked for all year, and you don't get the job done. You know, he was asked a couple times about various situations in the game. I thought actually he answered it pretty well. Asked about the decision not to go for it on the 2 4th-down plays. The first one he said was, you know, he just didn't want to give Michigan momentum. I think they were just inside their own half. And the second one, which is the one I disagreed with, he said he felt it was better to take a surer route, essentially, to get points, attempting the long field goal than maybe going for a long 4th and 2. We can debate that if you want, but I don't. You know, that was mostly his reaction. Kyle McCord took responsibility. Said the first interception, you know, it was a read play, so he was reading the linebacker and just didn't see the cornerback there, which is not acceptable. I mean, you've had a whole year of this now, and then the second one, you know, he just got hit late. You know, trying to make a play to Marv. We talked to Marv. Certainly seems like, I think everyone would expect that this is probably the end of the road for him unless they get in somehow to the playoff, which is not out of the question, but a long shot, more of a long shot than last year. And Jim Knowles spoke very briefly, you know, talking about just essentially not getting the job done. You know, he said that he thought they had some situations where they had guys there to make plays and it just didn't happen, which is really the first time I think he's ever not thrown a player under the bus, because that's not what he did, but he, you know, usually he's like, game mistakes are mine, and that's not what he said after this game. So, yeah, those were all the guys we talked to there. I think that pretty much sums it up. Again, it was pretty quick, as they tend to be after these losses.
Kyle McCord, where are you at with him? If you're in charge of Ohio State's program, you're like, we're going to go into next season with Kyle McCord and the rest of the guys pushing him, or are you looking in the portal?
I think it depends what ends up in the portal, you know, what other quarterbacks are in there. Look, I think Kyle still has the ability to take a step. As Bax was saying, though, we've been waiting for that all season. Now, can we see that from this year to next year? And, you know, I think without seeing Kyle on a day-to-day basis in the facility and how he works and everything, I think that's hard for me to judge. Look, you know, again, I think, as we've said a few times on this show and some of the other shows, that he is more of the norm in terms of the first-year quarterback play. The problem is you need to see the improvement, and it needs to take a big step if he's going to get it to the level that Ohio State expects. I think, you know, you also have to think of what's in the program. I know they really like Lincoln. I know they really like Devin. Are you willing to go to one of those guys? I don't know. You know, and Kyle has to make some assessments too, I think, here in terms of, you know, does he want to commit to doing what it takes to be the top of the line quarterback? You know, again, I'm not in the facility every day. I can't say what he does, and I'm not questioning his work ethic or anything, but, you know, I think back to that Notre Dame game, because this was obviously a very similar scenario. That one worked out, but he could have thrown an interception on that play, on that drive as well. And, you know, they got away with one there, and those things happen.
Not even that good. People are like, well, Notre Dame's a top 10 team. Notre Dame's not even that good. They have 3 losses.
Yeah. So, look, I think some things that we talked about, and as like Bax said, I think the way well, my ankle isn't in pain, though my back hurts a little bit. But
oh God,
no, not yet.
Not yet.
You know, like what Bax said, it's got to be about the development, and Ryan Day has to make this assessment. You know, can Kyle be that guy? And I know he's kind of put his money where his mouth is. That's the guy he picked over JJ McCarthy. I didn't think JJ McCarthy was otherworldly, but he made the plays that you needed to, especially that touchdown right down here to Roman Wilson. And, you know, we can discuss whether or not that was a touchdown, but he made a hell of a throw on that play. And Kyle did make some good throws. I mean, there were, you know, some plays. Yeah. But, you know, ultimately it comes down to wins and losses. And I've kind of been thinking about what I'm going to write about after this. And one of the things is like coming out of this game feels so different when you talk quarterback than it did the last 2 years, where CJ wasn't the problem, right? And it was the defense. And I still think there's some defensive issues, but Kyle is certainly more of a problem. You know, CJ threw 2 picks last year too, I believe, right? But it just didn't ever feel like that he was the issue. And Kyle was certainly part of the issue today. And big games, especially this type of rivalry game, you can't have that.
The officiating, what was the vibe on the officiating? I thought it was skewed in Michigan's favor, but I'm just curious to get your thoughts on the officiating, including the replay.
I thought it was fine. I don't know on that touchdown. I don't know. I guess I'd have to look into kind of how the rules work there. I think, you know, it looked enough. And Ryan Day did say that the official he talked to said because it was a touchdown on the field, there wasn't much they could do about it in terms of review. It looked to me like his knee got down before the ball came loose. But again, it was hard to tell. You know, I think if it's called anything else on the field, it stands that way. You know, Ohio State did get a few penalties in this game that I know Michigan people, because there were a handful of them in the press box that were not working in the press box, they did not like. But, you know, there was a blatant Tuimalau hold that didn't get called when J.J. McCarthy scrambled and completed the pass on the sideline. You know, look, I think, you know me, I don't like to blame the officials unless it's really bad. And I think in a game like this, there's going to be some calls that both sides are going to be pissed about. To me, that wasn't the difference in this game, ultimately. I
agree. Yep.
I think Kyle. Yeah. I think while they started to establish the run on that drive where I think they ran 8 of 12 plays, you know, it was never it was never that the run game could take over. And not that Michigan ran the ball that well either. I think it was like 162 rushing yards to 101 or something. But, you know, Michigan could do what they wanted when they needed to on the ground. And look, you're ahead. You're able to do that. And then the defense. I think, look, you're paying Jim Knowles a lot of money here. And I really liked what they did all year. I know both you and I, we've said this week, you know, we're believers in this defense, and I am. But that second half was not what they needed. You know, you needed a stop there, and Michigan scores on every possession in the second half. You know, that's not going to get it done. And you know, I think about what would have happened in potential if they would have snuck this one out somehow. What happens in you face Georgia, who's all of a sudden turned it on offensively, or you face those Pac-12 teams. I like defense line. Jim Knowles is doing good things. I just think that they ultimately weren't able to get the stops that they had all season today.
And no excuse for the Buckeyes this time. We didn't know what the excuse was the last 2 years. Then there was this, that's why Michigan won the last 2 years, because of that. No excuse this time. So we got like almost 2,000 people watching the live broadcast. I think probably at least half of them are Michigan fans, maybe more. Patrick Murphy, get back to work. Great stuff. Drive safely.
Yep, we'll see you back in Columbus. Yeah, there you go. Got to get up to watch that.
Orlando. There you go. I'm sure everything will go right with Columbus sports. Ohio Pro Sports never let anybody down. Ohio Pro Sports, whether it's the Bengals, the Browns, the former Indians, now the Guardians. The Cavs did win one. The Reds, the Bengals. CBJ, the legendary CBJ. Ohio Pro Sports will not let you down. So we'll see what the crew do tonight. Steve Hellwagon. We've seen a lot of these games, Ohio State, Michigan, over the years. This one was definitely one of them. What's your biggest takeaway?
Well, I look at it that obviously this was such a competitive game back and forth. And Ohio State missed some golden opportunities in the first half. And, the pass to, you go all the way back to the very beginning, the pass to Emeka Yuka, that's got to be caught. He missed Harrison one time when there was nobody within 15 yards of Harrison. And that's got to be completed. So you didn't run the ball effectively at all. And you missed on some easy pitch and catch plays early in the game. And this was just one of those games where an accumulation of little things just came back to bite them in the very end. And Michigan was better at the little things. And Coach basically said this, Coach Day. I mean, to win the Michigan game, you got to win the turnover battle and you got to win the rushing battle. And Michigan prevailed on both counts. It was 2-0 in turnovers. And I think they rushed for 156, and Ohio State was in the low 100s somewhere. So it's not good enough. Just simply not good enough to expect to come up here against a very good Michigan team and win this game. So it's a little bit different than the last 2 years where you felt like coming out of this game where they just got beaten up and, I don't know what you felt last year. You felt like it was the worst called defensive game you'd ever seen. This was something a little bit different. This was you were in this thing all the last 30 seconds and you gave them a touchdown on an interception and then the game ended on an interception. Games are won and lost up front. And to be very blunt with you, people are all over McCord. The offensive line is not Ohio State Big Ten championship caliber, period, over and out. And I asked Ryan Day about that. To me, I would say all jobs are open going forward. There's no sacred cow. And you got to get some war daddies up front on both sides of the ball because you didn't even breathe on McCarthy. There was the one sack there. Williams hit him and Sawyer tackled him. One sack, but he had all day to throw, whereas McCord was under constant duress. Michigan offensive line beat Ohio State's defensive line, ass with a board, check. Michigan defensive line beat Ohio State's offensive line, ass with a board, check. Again, so that's where games are won and lost. That's what I saw. I saw McCord with a guy in his face the entire day trying to get something accomplished. And McCarthy standing out there, checking the laces on the football. And, with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to throw the ball, nobody got there. So, it's real easy knee-jerk reaction after a game like this. Say, you got to fire half the assistant coaches and you got to do this, you got to do that. Well, I don't know. I think Ryan Day's got to really figure out who's in the foxhole with him going forward because, there's some people collecting checks that just aren't getting it done right now.
I agree. This offensive line's not up to Ohio State standards, but there's no way Kyle McCord's up to Ohio State standards either. And I'm not talking about, I'm sick of this. Well, he's being judged by C.J. Stroud and Justin Fields. No, he's not. He's not even on Bobby Hoying's level. He's not on Joe Germain's level. Those guys are third-round picks. Joe Germain was actually a fourth-round pick. I'm not saying Kyle McCord needs to be a top 10 pick, okay? He's got to be a hell of a lot better than what I saw today. He threw that ball right to Will Johnson. Will Johnson looked like he was the intended wide receiver there. Terrible.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yeah. He waited too long to get his day started. He didn't get going until about the second quarter. He makes a great throw to Stover. He made some good throws, but you're right. The first quarter of this game can't come and go without them doing anything. And that's kind of the way it was. I think at times, Day, at the end of the first half, when you've hit the passes and you're now at the 42-yard line with a first down with a minute to play, a minute to play in the half, you need to take a shot, maybe not Harrison because he was blown out from being tackled on that before the ball got there on that catch, but send it Buckeyes and let's just see what happens. Take a shot. Take a freaking shot. Instead, you come away empty there. And obviously you lose by 6, but that's only 3. But, I hate the conservative nature of what you see. You down 7 and, you're backed up in the very first play is Henderson for 1. Now it's 2nd and 9. Jesus Christ. Everybody in the stadium knows what's coming. It just, I don't know. I hate the ultra conservative nature. I get it that you were waiting around on them to make the mistake. Well, you made the mistake. And they won the game because of it.
So Orange Bowl, is that what we're looking at? I guess there's an outside chance, a 1% chance. they could back into the playoff like they did last year. Last year was really surprising. They lost at home and it wasn't close. Today they lost a close game in Ann Arbor. They're not getting in, but so what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think they're definitely a long shot to get into the playoff with this loss. I mean, Penn State, Notre Dame are their two claims to fame right now. So I don't know if that's enough to get them in, although, there's a lot of football left to be played. They need some upsets. They need some teams some leagues to go void here for the Big Ten to get 2 in. I mean, Michigan's in, the winner Alabama is in, so there's 2. I think Michigan's in even with a loss to Iowa, which, if Michigan can't, I don't know how to put a finger on it. They are deceptively effective offensively. They don't I don't know. They threw the ball to the tight end.
In the Big Ten, they are. In the
tight
Big
end
Ten,
is.
How have they done in the college football playoff? It's going to be the same thing this year. They're going to get smoked again.
Yeah, probably so.
Enjoy this one, boys.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the same. There was enough here today to say that Ohio State's one of the top 5 teams in the country, but are they really going to be in the top 4 when this thing all comes down? My guess is they'll probably play somebody in the Orange Bowl, maybe Louisville in the Orange Bowl would probably be it. So get excited for that. Did Louisville hang on and win today over Kentucky?
I don't know. I mean, they were losing late.
Oh,
Louisville against Ohio State in the Orange Bowl. My God. Yeah. Is anybody even going to be? I mean, we're used to people not showing up for games at that
or
stadium.
maybe the Alabama-Georgia loser in the Peach Bowl or something.
Well, that would actually – well, I don't know if Ohio State wants that. I'd much rather have Louisville than that. Let's check it out.
Who else going to show up?
Kentucky.
Too?
Kentucky won.
You're going to have 5. Kentucky beat Louisville. Wow.
Kentucky 38, Louisville 31. There you go. I had a little side bet on that. I was like SEC against ACC. I like it. Kentucky was getting some good juice. All right. Alabama up 10-7 against Auburn. All right. Well, Steve, I'll see you in Miami. Apparently. Goodness.
I don't know.
Goodness.
I don't know. I don't even know what the path would be. I mean, Texas would need to lose next week in the Big 12 championship. I presume it'll be Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. I think if Oklahoma State wins, they're in. And if not, then it would be a Texas-Oklahoma rematch. And you would need Texas to lose. You would probably need either the ACC or Pac-12 to not have a playoff team as well, one of them to open up a spot. So it doesn't seem like it's going to happen, but whatever.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
All right, Steve, maybe Ohio State can beat Santa Clara. Did you see the story that somebody already wrote? It looked like it was something from AI.
Yeah.
Right. They already wrote the Santa Clara beat.
There's a lot of weird websites out there that just do AI-generated content that populates somehow, and it's not even done by a human being. It's just whatever. But we're going to find a place to watch that game, and we'll report on it, I suppose, later on. And obviously. Last year Ohio State did practice for 2 or 3 days in the interim after the loss to Michigan. The coaches all went out on the recruiting trail, which I guess is the only silver lining of this. And then on Sunday they got the good news that they backed in Georgia all the hell they could handle. That's for sure. So, if we get another, if they get another lightning bolt like that, then take advantage of it. If not, go off and play the bowl game, play all the young guys that you can play, because you're only going to have about 6 to 8 returning starters on this team next year, and they would only be in name only, because I think you've got to throw open a bunch of these jobs going forward. I don't even know out of the returning starters who would be submitted at this point. So I don't know.
See, all the Michigan people in the chat. I mean, I don't even fault them. Michigan people coming over here talking trash, trolling. Hey, part of the rivalry. Ohio State fans will be doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, bully for them.
Michigan fans, I get it.
They've been through the ringer, and this had nothing to do with the cheating or anything else today. This was they just came out.
They just won.
And whipped Ohio State's ass is all this was. And that's just the fact of the matter, 3rd year in a row. So
I wouldn't say they whooped their ass, but they won. Ohio State won the total yardage battle. Again, I hate to put – it's not just one play. If McCord does not have that
here
interception,
live, and I can see what's happening on the
Ohio
lines,
State wins this game, in my opinion.
I didn't see Ohio State's offensive or defensive line distinguish itself at all. So I think from
it's a 6-point game, and Ohio State gave them 7 points to start the game. So
yeah.
McCarthy didn't do anything that stupid. Just McCord did.
Yeah, he just managed the game. All right, man. We'll catch you later.
Man. You have a good one. Drive safely. Enjoy the basketball game. No one cares about basketball. At least not yet. That was a good win yesterday for the basketball team. Okay, maybe we should just talk about Ohio State basketball. That'd probably be more more positive than talking about the football team right now. But anyway, I mean, this is crazy how many people are in the live broadcast right now. I think half of them are Michigan fans. Again, like Steve said, there's no excuse. Michigan won this game. Hats off. Should I put a hat on? An old baseball hat on here. There we go. My old baseball hat, high school baseball hat. So hats off, Michigan. Hats off. No excuses. You guys won the game. But like I said, enjoy it because you're getting hammered by the NCAA. This is it. This is it. You better take advantage because you're getting hammered by the NCAA. If you don't know what I'm talking about, read that 13-page report from the NCAA or from the Big Ten. Read the 13-page report from the Big Ten to your athletic director. He even starts it out. He doesn't say Mr. Manuel or athletic director. He just says, Dear Ward. And then it gets worse and worse and worse and worse from there. You're getting hammered. So you better take advantage of this. So hats off to you. You beat Ohio State. No excuses. Better take advantage of it. Thanks to all of my guests. Thanks to Jonah Booker. Thanks to Matt Baxendale. Thanks to Patrick Murphy. Thanks to Steve Hellwagon. And thanks to most of you. I am Dave Biddle. I hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend.